Hello, everyone. I am here to talk about some astrology today. And it is actually kind of a continuation from a conversation I had yesterday. And it is involving Mars and Venus. I've been contemplating this Mars and Venus energy because Mars is in Libra, Venus is in Scorpio. This is called a mutual reception. When you have planets that are in each other's signs, it's called a mutual reception. And so Mars is about, it's around 5 degrees of Libra right now. Venus is, if you've been following me, you know, I've been talking about how Venus is approaching an opposition to Uranus and Taurus, and it's almost, and it's pretty exact at this point. Maybe a little ways to go before exact, but I think Venus is about 13 degrees, and if I remember correctly, Uranus is at 14. Whatever the case, we're likely feeling it, and it's an opposition, so it's really going to be a confronting energy for us. And I say for us because it really is for us. It's so that we really are looking at what we're valuing in ourselves and in relationships. And Mars being in Libra is interesting because Mars actually rules Aries and it rules Scorpio, or guides Aries, guides Scorpio, as I like to say. And so Mars in Libra is an interesting energy. Venus naturally rules Libra, and it particularly likes harmony, you know, and Mars is not, it's not that Mars doesn't like harmony, but it doesn't, it just acts, and it's very instinctual, and it's also, it doesn't kind of, where Libra can kind of be a little wishy-washy because it's like kind of trying to be in some ways a little subtle or soft. Mars is not like that. Mars is pretty cutting. I mean, if you think about Mars, a key word for Mars is cutting. It cuts to the chase. You know, it goes after what it wants quickly, without forethought. It just acts. And it is acting on behalf of the unconscious desires of the soul. And so it's the instinct to make the unconscious desires conscious and to actually create it in the outer world and in the earth plane. And when you put Mars in Libra, it's an interesting piece because I feel like, as I've been contemplating these energies, I feel like what this opposition with Venus opposing Uranus and Taurus and Mars in Libra, what's happening here is that this cutting piece can be very much coming into a certain level of conflict, but conflict is actually really meant to serve us and serve the desires of the soul, being Venus in Mars's sign, Scorpio. So what's happening here is that really we can be coming in confrontation to the gap between what we really desire and what is actually happening. And this can be in relationships. And our relationships are such a great reflection of what we're actually valuing, right? Our relationships are always a mirror, and that's what Libra is all about. It is about the mirror. What is being mirrored back to us via our relationships? What values are being mirrored back to us via our relationships? And Venus's guide or rulership of Libra, where Venus attracts based on its yin energy, which that's the sign of Taurus. Venus rules the sign of Taurus, which is yin, the yin form of Venus. That's where we assess our own self-value and what we value based on our self-value. Then we go into the outer world, Libra, and we start attracting things to us based on our own inner vibration. The fact that we are magnets. I always think of Venus as vibration. It is the Taurus, Taurus. It's the vibration by which we magnetize things to us. And this is where you can kind of relate with Mars and Venus being, you know, we've all experienced relationships where we just feel magnetized to someone, where we're like magnets. We feel that energetic tension and that energetic connection that we desire to come close with, right? This is the magnetism that we have. We magnetize things to us. And this can be any kind of relationship and any kind of thing of value, which could be people, circumstances, wealth, money, resources. We magnetize things to us. And this all starts within, right? And our Venusian values that are based in Taurus. Now with transiting Uranus moving through Taurus, this is actually quickening our awareness of what we're valuing. What are we valuing? With Mars being in Libra, Venus opposing Uranus from Scorpio, this gives us the opportunity to really look at within the soul, like, what am I actually valuing as I get confronted in my relationships and relating? This is really helpful because, again, our relationships are mirrors to what's actually going on the inside of things. So Mars being in Libra can be cutting. And what I mean by cutting is that Mars goes in and pulls the weeds out of the garden, right? It selects what it wants and everything else falls away. And so Mars in Libra is really going to be attracted to cutting what doesn't work, what we don't want, really, and it goes after what it selects, and it's selective, right? And so Mars in Libra can really be showing us what we don't want anymore, you know, what we actually want to select. And one of the things I was noticing is that Mars, being that it's about at 5 degrees right now, it's then going to oppose Chiron in Aries. Remember, Mars is the guide to Aries, so it is the guide to Chiron right now. So Mars will oppose Chiron. It's going to show, like, where are we feeling wounded in our own identity in regards to relationship? You know, what are our relationships reflecting back to us and how we even relate to ourselves? Because if our relationships are reflecting back to us any less than what we desire, it is our cue for our own self-work. It is our cue for actually applying boundaries within oneself and recognizing, okay, where am I not valuing myself, where what I'm getting in the reflection is what I don't want. So what am I need to really look at what my needs are, what my desires are, and what I'm allowing in that doesn't resonate with that. This is the thing, though. It's not necessarily about what other people are bringing, right? It's really about what are they reflecting about our own vibration and the fact that we're allowing this into our lives. So it's like it's not so much about necessarily a relationship with others, although that's important. How are we relating to another? But it's like, really, we're only going to relate to another based on how we relate to ourselves. So if we have relationships that are reflecting something that's lacking or not what we desire, not in alignment with our desires, it's really a reflection of our own self-work. And, well, why am I allowing this in my life? What is it within me where I'm not actually aligning with my desires? I'm just going to put some like potential questions out there is like, do I not think I deserve it? Do I not think I'm worthy of it? Because that really, when it gets down to it, we're all worthy of our desires. So it is really about moving inward. And really, when I talk about that cutting piece of Mars, it's really about going within. It's not that it won't be reflected outwards, that we might find, yeah, this relationship is no longer really resonant with my desires, and I'm realizing that now. It can be that, and therefore it'd be like cutting relationships out, but it's really coming from a place of changing and cutting a certain piece of ourselves that is extraneous, that isn't actually resonant with the core of what we desire. And so it's really about moving inward and about re-identifying with oneself and one's own desires and recognizing, okay, what needs to be eliminated within myself so that I'm completely in alignment with my own values and what I value and my self-value to the level that is now up-leveling, because we are all up-leveling our values because we're becoming more aware of them. Uranus does that. Uranus awakens. So it is awakening us to where we have become really potentially too comfortable, slacking, lazy around our desires and around how they're changing. And therefore, we're changing and we need to make changes because we are changing. What we desire is changing. So the parameters by which we live have to change. And so what this can really be showing is that, and recognizing that the people in our lives, the outer circumstances, everything is just reflecting back to us our own sense of self-value. And are we in alignment with our self-value? Are we up to date with our self-value and up to date with our values? And what changes need to be made in order to align with our updated values and our updated self-love? And what that looks like now, because what that looked like a year ago is likely different now, or even, or years ago, or a month ago, even weeks ago. It can be changed. Something is new now that is asking to be updated in the sense of, okay, now it's time to take action within oneself of what is not resonating, that's in my environment, that is in my world, and it just doesn't resonate anymore. And this is where, it can be, it's really not about blaming other people or shaming other people or, getting irritated with other people, because Mars can be that irritation that can happen. And it gets irritated when we know something's not resonant with what we were desiring. So then Mars gets irritated because it's like, no, I just want to get to where I'm going, but this is irritating because there's obstacles in the way. And that just means, okay, well, get rid of the obstacles. So Mars is going to come up to oppose Chiron. It's going to show where we may have not been taking action. And on that level, we can feel a certain level of self-inflicted wounds. Self-inflicted wounds. And so it's going to show us through that opposition, all right then, this is where I feel like in a way I've wounded myself because I've not been aligning with what I want. And I've not been going after what I want. I've been maybe putting my attention to things I don't want. So let's put attention to the things we want. And things will start to align. Our desires will align. It'll accommodate to the action that we're taking within ourselves, because that's where it all stems from first, right? Then what happens is that then Mars will actually begin a new 25-month cycle. It's a Synodic Cycle, which begins when Mars and the Sun conjunct. And that's going to be at 14 degrees of Libra. This is a 25-month cycle. But what's interesting is that after that, and by the way, that cycle is going to be, around our desires and around, our soul desires, soul evolution, and how we're relating to oneself and one's own identity and others. And then based on soul desires, right? Soul evolution. And then Mars is going to then square Pluto. And And I've talked about that in recent lives. But that's a really big, important square. Because again, it's going to bring up, all right, well, there's like this kind of tension between what has been created before, what is of the past, and then, you know, what is now needing to complete in order to then begin a new cycle with Pluto. And that's going to be with Pluto, Venus, and Vesta, which I've talked about in previous sharings, so you can go back to those. But up until then, this is the work that we're doing. And it's really about our own inner work and really, you know, separating, because Mars separating the things that do not align with where we want to go and where our desires are, where we feel alive, what would regenerate us. This is what Mars and Venus really are about, is creating things that regenerate, make us feel alive and happy to be alive and excited to be alive and, you know, overflowing with abundance and wealth, whatever that means to us personally, right? Because it can be different for different people. And that's why sometimes we evolve out of relationships, because our desires change, our soul evolution changes, what we see as abundant changes, because we're here to experience our soul, which is really actually very vast, right? So I'm going to look at the comments here. Love when you flip the script like that, so looking inward. Yes, exactly. I agree, because that's where our power is. Our power is inside. And so our power to change is actually coming from really looking at ourselves and what we're doing, what we're attracting, what we're agreeing to, what we're aligning with. And because we all know we can never control the outside world. We can't control other people. And I don't think we're meant to control other people or their path. We're meant to actually continually work within and recognize how things fall away and things come forward. Things fall away, things come forward, to align with what's happening inside and what we desire to create in the outer world. Because the outer world is really just reflecting back to us our inner world. Analysis of relationship with people and environment. Yes. Yeah. And I mean, you know, the sun is just gone into Libra, by the way. The equinox yesterday, today is happening, right? Every true love and friendship is a story of unexpected transformation. Absolutely. Yeah, because that's the thing. We are attracted to things in relationships, and they often reveal what's actually unconscious. We're here to really discover what's unconscious, right? What topic are you discussing? I'm really talking a lot about Mars, actually. Mars and Venus, particularly Mars, though, but a little of both, because, you know, Mars is in Libra, which is Venus's sign. Venus is in Scorpio, which is Mars's sign. Mars rules Scorpio, Venus rules Libra, or I like to say guides. And then Venus is in an opposition to Uranus and Taurus. Taurus is a yin, Venus yin sign. It's a yin sign and guided by Venus. So it's the yin form of Venus. And so this is really about, because Uranus is there, it's really about up-leveling our values, up-leveling our self-love, up-leveling our self-value and what we desire. And so Venus and Scorpio can really be bringing in sudden, unexpected changes or awarenesses or aha moments, or even experiences with others. Could be intimate bonds, could be just relationships that bring unexpected conflict, but the conflict is really meant to expose where we're coming from in our values and what we're valuing and what aligns with those values and what doesn't. So, and then just really talking about Mars and its cycles. So if you're hopping on and you came in late, you can always watch the replay. But I really just wanted to bring this Mars cycle along with Venus up for discussion, because I was finding it quite fascinating what Mars is doing right now in its mutual reception with Venus, and then also where the power really is, which is within, right? So it's really recognizing, you know, Libra and Aries are in the natural zodiac, so in the sky, they are square to Capricorn. So this is really about setting parameters that actually balance our own personal identity and our personal needs and desires with others in any way, shape, or form. And so it's really about taking responsibility for that. And it's not about, which would be the shadow of Capricorn, blaming another, shaming another because of our differences, but really it's about saying, okay, we either resonate or we don't, and that's okay. Because the thing is we're all here living our own personal journey with the divine, and what we see as divine is very unique. We're divine, we're very unique divine expressions of the divine. And so we have to, in order to maintain integrity with what we see as divine, Capricorn is all about integrity, is we have to really understand what our personal needs are, and that not everything and everyone is going to resonate with that. So therefore, because we're on an evolutionary path, we are going to find there's times in our lives where we realize that we're changing. We realize that our values are changing. And that can be reflected in the outer world, where we realize, wow, this relationship or this situation isn't resonating anymore. This is actually reflecting back to me that my values have changed. Who I am is different now. What I want is different now. And so it's time to actually recognize that I need to create space for what I desire, which means eliminating things that do not align with my newfound desires, my newfound identity, and what I desire and actually value now that I've learned more, now that I know more about myself, now that I see how I've evolved into new territory. I have new awakenings, new insights, new understandings based on my evolutionary path. And sometimes we just find that, wow, I'm a new person now. I have a new identity now. And that identity needs different things, desires different things. And that's okay. That's part of the evolutionary path. So there's times that we have to actually create parameters and boundaries with things that don't actually align with what we desire to create. What we desire to create is very much about our own Mars and Venus energy. This is the inner masculine and the inner feminine, right? So we all have the inner masculine and feminine, which we want to keep in this eternal, mutual, beneficial flow, right? With others, but also within. So therefore, this is where we want to take action for our own needs. Mars, Aries, Chiron's and Aries, taking action based on our own needs and desires. And then lean back and let the universe give back based on the signatures you're creating in your own vibration by taking action and eliminating what doesn't align and actually going for what does align. And then you lean back and allow the universe to give back to you. Because we're in that divine relationship with the Creator. And the Creator wants for us, I believe, to evolve, grow, change, and receive. And receive the gifts of that. And receive the gifts from contributing our own unique relationship to the collective and to the divine, and by what we create. And so Libra and Aries is all about balancing the masculine and the feminine. And we all know that we've incarnated, we have inherited a lifetime, depending on what culture you live in, but so it's varying degrees, probably depending on where you live, but we are in a place that our inner masculine and inner feminine have not been balanced simply because we've been born into a society where there's been extreme patriarchal values. And it's not to say that patriarchy is inherently unhealthy. It's just that anything in extreme is unhealthy. So we want to be embracing the divine feminine more, the divine flow, the intuitive part of our nature, the part of us that naturally flows with energy, with emotions, with the seasons and the cycles, right? Now, with Mars, it's the masculine, so it's acting on behalf to actually create function in the world and parameters by which we go after our desires, but we also have to remember to receive back, right? To allow the flow to happen so that things can flow to us by our own magnetism, in our own energetic signatures of our masculine energy, right? The masculine gives, the feminine receives. So we create energetic signatures by what we give, and then we lean back and allow ourselves to receive from our energetic signatures we've created through our Mars energy. So we want to be balancing this out within ourselves. This is what Pluto and Capricorn, I really believe, is doing, is actually really dismantling or exposing the extreme patriarchy so that more flow can come in, so that the sensitivity of the feminine can come in, so that we can actually flow with the seasons, with the natural cycles, which is very much the South Node in Sagittarius, because Sagittarius is all about the natural flow of cycles of the earth. My friend Peter talked about in a recent comment that Sagittarius is the centaur, so it's half horse, half man. To me, the way I interpret this is that we are animals. We are of this earth. And so we are subject to the natural cycles and natural laws. We cannot escape that. But the idea is to actually work with that, with the natural cycles, with natural law, and learn and reach for higher individuated ideals, which is individuated. And by individuated, I mean it's individual. So we're these individual expressions of this natural law. So there's natural law that we're all subject to. But if we get too entrenched in patriarchal law or Capricorn, where we're creating these structures, these boxes in which we live in, and we get stuck in them, there doesn't allow flow. So we want both, right? We need both. We need structure, but we also need flow. And so I really believe that Pluto moving through Capricorn, especially in these last degrees, is going to ask us to really open up our box, open up our energy field, and actually allow ourselves to evolve beyond this extreme patriarchal man-made laws and man-made ways of doing things. It's not that say that that's inherently wrong. It's just that it can be too constricting, and therefore it can suffocate evolution. So if we would like to actually get to the next level for humanity, but also for our own individual expressions of the divine, we have to open up. We have to actually embody the masculine and the feminine within, and actually begin to create based on our own individual evolutionary path. And within this natural law, right? And Gemini is the North Node. Its guide is Mercury. Mercury is about to go retrograde. It's going to square Pluto and then go retrograde, right? So, I mean, it's basically squaring Pluto now. So it goes retrograde on the 27th. So this is going to help us to actually really sift through, sort through. All right, what needs to be eliminated? What is the weeds in my garden? What's actually not nourishing me anymore, or nourishing the soil, or nourishing the things that I wish to grow in my life personally? It's not about other people's gardens. It's not about other people's lives. It's really about my life. What do I want? Because that's my obligation to myself and to the Creator, is to be in relationship with myself, relationship with my Creator, and really being integral with that, integral with for what I desire to create in the world. And that is actually being willing to stand in my own integrity and create that. And if people resonate with that, great. If they don't, great. That's okay, because there is a divine flow. When we create space for trusting our own path, evolutionary path, then we recognize that if there is space that's created by people that need to leave our lives, or that doesn't align, or things that don't align, situations that don't align, jobs that don't align, things like that, we know that space will actually be filled with what does resonate. So long as we are actually really paying attention to our own core, our own vibration, and what we desire, knowing that we are here to actually contribute to the collective based on our desires that are connected to source, energy, creator. So, know thyself and to thine own self be true. Exactly. Such if there was in my opinion, that quote right there is key to so much. Masculine energy to pursue feminine energy, to receive balanced energy is healthy exchange. Yes. So, I'm really excited about what Mars is doing for us, what Venus is doing for us, to help us really sort this stuff out for ourselves and carry on with letting go of the past and creating new in our personal world and in our personal contribution to the collective. So thanks everyone for hopping on. And as you know, I'll be back tomorrow.